Hello and welcome back to the Miss Juliet English Channel, the place where we untangle the English language together. I'm your host, Juliet, and today I have a very special guest with me. He's a dear old friend, and let's just say we go way back. Please welcome Romeo.
Juliet, it's great to be here. Go way back is an understatement. We've known each other since we were this high. Talking about you brings back a lot of childhood memories.
Exactly. And that is our topic for today, how to talk about your childhood in English. So many of my students freeze up when they have to share stories from their past. They worry about the grammar, the vocabulary.
Oh, I get it. It's like, how do I say I was a mischievous little troublemaker in proper English?
Precisely. So, Romeo, you're here to be my guinea pig. We're going to chat, share some of our own silly stories, and along the way, we'll break down the language everyone can use to do the same. Sound good?
Sounds like a plan. Let's dive into the past. Just promise you won't bring up the incident with the tadpoles.
No promises. Okay, let's start at the very beginning. The simplest way to begin any childhood story is with the phrase, when I was a kid, or when I was little. It instantly sets the time period.
Right. When I was a kid, I was absolutely convinced that shadows were creatures from another dimension that only came out to follow me.
See? Perfect. And notice you used was. When we talk about the past, we're firmly in the land of the past simple tense. I was, you were, he lived, she played, we thought. It's the bread and butter of childhood stories. Now, tell me, where did you grow up? This is a common question.
I grew up in a small town surrounded by forests. Our house was on a quiet street, and my backyard felt like a giant, endless playground. We used to spend all day outside until the streetlights came on.
Ah, you used a golden phrase. We used to spend all day outside. Used to is our secret weapon. We use it for actions that happened regularly in the past but don't happen anymore. It's for habits and repeated states. For example, I used to believe in Santa Claus, or we used to visit my grandparents every summer.
Yes, and the opposite would be I didn't used to like vegetables, but now I love them. It always trips me up a little, the D in used and the to. It feels like a tongue twister.
It does, but you said it perfectly. Didn't used to. Another great phrase for a repeated past action is would always. So instead of we used to play outside, you could say, on summer evenings, we would all play hide and seek until it got dark. It has a lovely, nostalgic feel to it.
I like that. My dad would always tell us stories about his own childhood. It does sound more story-like, doesn't it?
It really does. Now let's get into the fun stuff, describing what we were like. What kind of child were you, Romeo? Were you a bookworm, a little athlete, a class clown?
Oh, I was a total daydreamer. I was also incredibly curious, and I have to admit, a bit of a daredevil. I was always getting into trouble.
Getting into trouble, that's a fantastic phrasal verb. It means finding yourself in a problematic situation. And those adjectives are perfect. Daydreamer, curious, daredevil. Other great ones are shy, outgoing, mischievous, bossy, creative. So this curious daredevil, what did you like to do? What were your hobbies?
Well, my biggest passion was collecting things. I was obsessed with collecting rocks. Not fancy gems, just ordinary, weird-looking rocks I found. I was convinced I was going to find a dinosaur fossil in my backyard.
I was obsessed with, that's a strong and very common phrase. Kids are always obsessed with something. I was obsessed with horses. I drew them, I read books about them. I even used to trot around the playground pretending to be one.
I remember that. You'd make us all be your herd.
Don't remind me. But see, this is how the story comes to life. We use was obsessed with, loved, hated, was crazy about. Now, what about toys and games? This is a huge part of childhood.
Oh, I loved building forts. We'd use blankets and chairs and create these elaborate castles and action figures. I had a whole saga going on with my action figures. I also remember being really competitive at board games. I hated losing. I would sulk for hours if my sister beat me at Monopoly.
The vocabulary is so specific, right? Building forts, action figures, board games, dolls, teddy bears, video games, playing tag, hide and seek, and the emotions, the agony of losing, the joy of winning. It's all part of the story. My favorite was playing pretend. We'd be pirates or astronauts or restaurant owners.
Which reminds me of a story. This one involves you, actually.
Oh dear, do I want to hear this?
Probably. So, one time when we were about 7, we decided to play restaurant. You were the chef, and I was the customer.
Oh no, I think I know where this is going.
And you, the brilliant chef, decided that the special of the day was a mud pie with a side of grass salad and, dandelion juice.
I was a visionary, a culinary artist.
You were. And you were so persuasive. You told me it was the most delicious thing in the world, and me, being the trusting friend, I took a big bite of that mud pie.
I'm so sorry. I forgot about that. You had to go home, and your mom was so confused about why you were spitting out dirt.
It's a core memory now. But look at the language we used to tell that story. One time, we decided to, you were the, I was the, it sets the scene. It's a simple narrative.
Absolutely. One time, once. I remember this one time are all perfect story starters. And using the past continuous to set the scene. The sun was shining. We were playing in the backyard. It paints a picture. Now, let's talk about a less gritty part of childhood. School.
School, okay. I was a pretty good student, but I wasn't exactly a teacher's pet. I used to daydream in class all the time. My favorite subject was art because I could just let my imagination run wild. My least favorite was probably math. I found it really difficult.
Great examples. I was a good student, a teacher's pet. That's the student the teacher loves the most. A troublemaker, a nerd, in a good way. And for subjects, I was good at English. I was terrible at PE. I found history fascinating. I thought science was boring.
What about you? You were definitely a teacher's pet.
Guilty as charged. I loved reading. I was always the one with her nose in a book. The librarian knew me by name. My most vivid memory is of my 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Appleby. She had this incredible way of making stories come alive. She was the one who inspired me to love language.
That's a beautiful memory. And you used another key structure. She was the one who, we used that to highlight a specific person who had an impact. My grandfather was the one who taught me how to fish.
Exactly. Now, we can't talk about childhood without mentioning family. How would you describe your family?
I grew up in a relatively big family. I have 2 older brothers, so I was the youngest, the baby of the family, and they used to pick on me relentlessly.
I'm laughing. Pick on me, meaning to tease or bully in a lighthearted way. That's very common. People often talk about their birth order. I was the oldest, so I had to be responsible. Or I was the middle child, so I felt a bit overlooked. What about your parents?
My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she was always baking. The house always smelled of cookies. My dad was a carpenter, and he was always tinkering in his workshop. I think I got my curiosity from him. We were raised to be polite and to always use our imagination.
We were raised to. That's a wonderful phrase to talk about values your parents taught you. I was raised to respect my elders, or we were raised to work hard. It's a step deeper than just describing what your parents did for a living.
Speaking of being raised, what about rules? I had a pretty strict curfew. I had to be home when the streetlights came on, and I wasn't allowed to watch TV on school nights.
Ah, rules. A universal childhood experience. I had to finish my homework before I could play. I wasn't allowed to eat candy. My parents let me stay up late on Fridays. The verbs had to, obligation, wasn't allowed to, prohibition, and let me, permission, are crucial here.
And then there are the core memories, the big events, like family vacations. We would always go camping by a lake every summer. I have such vivid memories of the smell of pine trees and campfires.
Those are the memories that stick, aren't they? The family traditions. For us, it was a big feast every Christmas at my grandmother's house. All the cousins would run around and the adults would be laughing in the kitchen. It's a very fond memory.
A fond memory, yes, or a vivid memory. And then there are the not so fond ones. Like my first trip to the dentist, I was terrified. Or the time I fell out of a tree and broke my arm. That was a painful memory, but now it's just a funny story.
That's the thing about childhood stories. Even the scary or embarrassing ones become funny with time. Like the time I tried to give myself a haircut before picture day.
No, you never told me that.
It was a disaster. I wanted bangs. I ended up with, well, let's just say I wore a lot of hats that year. The point is, you can share those stories too. I was so embarrassed, or it was a complete disaster.
So, to recap this lovely trip down memory lane, if someone asks me about my childhood, I can say, when I was a kid, use the past simple tense, was, were, lived, played, use used to and would for regular past actions, describe my personality, curious, daydreamer, shy, talk about my hobbies, collecting rocks, building forts, share specific stories with one time or I remember once, mention school, family, and rules.
Beautifully summarized, Romeo. You've got it all. The key is not to be perfect, but to be willing to share. Your stories are interesting because they are yours. The vocabulary and grammar are just the tools to help you tell them.
So, to all the listeners out there, your homework is to think of one childhood memory. It can be funny, sweet, embarrassing, and try to write down a few sentences about it in English. Use the phrases we talked about today.
Yes, practice is everything. Share it with a friend, with a language partner, or even just say it out loud to yourself. And if you're feeling brave, we'd love for you to share a tiny part of it in the comments below. Tell us about a toy you loved or a game you used to play. We read them all.
It's been a pleasure, Juliet. Thanks for having me and for not making me eat another mud pie.
Thank you, Romeo, for being such a good sport and for helping us all learn how to talk about our pasts. Until next time, keep practicing and keep sharing your stories. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.